Yemen's Houthis have launched a series of attacks on merchant shipping in the Red Sea over the past fortnight. It's a proxy war unlike any seen in recent years. The Houthis are targeting ships with Israeli ownership plying around the Red Sea. And joining me to discuss this very interesting phenomena is Captain Sanjay Parashar, CEO of VR Maritime Services, joining us from Mumbai. Captain Parashar, welcome to the News9 Plus show.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskar. First off, are the Houthis non-state actors as is being made out, or do their actions in the last 2 weeks suggest a state hand?
Absolutely straight and no doubt. I think it will be too naive of me to say that they are, trained force of last 1 year, 2 year.
Right.
I think they are much far ahead into that. So I think it's just that change of uniform, and they are probably state actors.
They're state
That's
actors
how
working.
we look from the shipping viewpoint,
Right. So you're actually sitting there in Mumbai, you're at the center of the whole shipping business. Tell us how the Houthis, this so-called ragtag non-state actors from the mountains of northern Yemen, how are they able to identify the ownership of these merchant ships that are plying around around the Red Sea? I mean, is this data really easily available at the click of a button, or is there something more than meets the eye?
I'm sure it's something more than what meets the eye. The bottom line here is that they must have been preparing this for last couple of years. I will say beyond 2 years, because I'm sure that there was Panama paper leaks, and a lot of politicians' names were involved across the Asian continent. But I think of the late, what has happened is people have, with this terrorist mindset, they have understood that if they really want to make themselves visible, I think they need to attack the commercial shipping lines.
Right.
And after Houthi and Saudi Arabia had an issue, I think they were a little bit successful there. So I think they have just taken a learning lesson from there, and they have shortlisted exactly, because there are only 70,000 cargo ships in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that if you want to shortlist the owners, it is very easy to Google search 25 to 30%, but to be so specific, to know the ownership details of a company which is in Bahamas or Cayman Island or Liberia or Panama, I think somebody must be doing his homework pretty well for last 2 years or probably 5 years.
Right. So who's doing the homework, Deepak? You've been studying this issue.
It appears that it's the Iranians
Right.
who've armed. Iran has, perfected this art. We were speaking to Colonel DPK Pillai a few days back, and with his experience in Syria and the Middle East, there was one thing that he said, that in the course of the civil war in Syria, where you had Shia militias, running amok everywhere.
Yeah.
Iran had perfected the art of supplying, of supply chains in these war-torn regions.
Right.
What makes it even more interesting here is that with the kind of capabilities that the Houthis now possess, it's kind of, as if something's just been unleashed that cannot really be talked to. I mean, where do you meet the Houthis? You cannot approach them at any international summit.
That's right.
You can't go to, call up an embassy and register your protest.
Right.
And so you have this entity which is completely in the grey.
Yeah.
And yet it's being commanded for a very strategic purpose.
Very strategic purpose indeed. In fact, Captain Parashar, we were just looking at a map of the pattern of these non-states that Iran seems to have cultivated. They have ringed the entire Arabian Peninsula, which is one of the largest sources of oil in the world. All the choke points are manned by Iran. So you have the Bab el-Mandeb, which is where the Houthis are. You have the Straits of Hormuz, where the Iranians are sitting. You have the Mediterranean, where you have the Hezbollah and Hamas. Well, Hezbollah more than Hamas now. This is all part of a plan, don't you think, to kind of encircle these sea lanes of communication?
Of course, I think after the Second World War, when Russia, USSR that time wanted to have their own share of oil, and US said, we'll bombard you, otherwise go back. And Russians within 24 hours went back,
Right.
I think they must have done their study from 1944 onwards till now, and they know oil is important.
Yeah.
And given the Iran-Iraq war and the kind of warfare they have been involved in, I'm very sure that, there is a big think tank working behind all these shipping lanes. And Irano-Hind shipping, and then finally doing all this Iran kind of a business out of Dubai. So they have got really world-class access to get this kind of a classified information. and then plan their strategies out of a place
Right.
which probably has a history of being their partners here.
Absolutely, and in fact the Houthis seem to be waging a very interesting kind of maritime warfare, and we were looking at the numbers. The war risk insurance premiums have all climbed up for all ships by $50,000 to $100,000 as big as that. So that's how has it made it difficult for ships to ply in the Red Sea?
See, firstly, the increased tensions between Yemen and Saudi. After that, probably, they never thought that this will be another bubble which will probably come up and stay there for long.
Right.
So now if the vessels have to come from Cape of Good Hope, that is another 2,500 nautical miles. So you nearly spend a fuel which is close to $150,000 to $200,000.
Right.
Then you have, if you want to transit, then you have got war risk additional premiums. Then you have got kidnap and ransom premiums. So the premiums have gone up nearly 30 to 40% more, and I think they'll go 50% more. So the solution what they had earlier was, the crew is trained a little bit for ISPS code, and they put some gunmen, 4 to 6 gunmen on board.
Right.
Now industry has given up on that. They know that this 4 to 5 gunmen on board won't work. They need probably 4 to 5 warships there.
Right, exactly. I mean, how does a gunman defend a ship being attacked by a ballistic missile or by a cruise missile? This is what the Houthis seem to have unleashed on shipping there in the Red Sea. But thank you so much for your insights, Captain Parashar. Thank you very much, and we're going to be looking at that story. Closer home, the Indian National Congress is in a crisis. India's grand old party is now in power in just 3 states. The results of the recent assembly elections have dealt a blow to the party just as it was finding its mojo ahead of the 2024 general elections. What's in store for the party? We'll leave you with this upcoming story on News9 Plus. Thanks for watching.
I have no script left for the Congress party. I'm at pains to think about what the steps ahead can be. Even if they were left with a political script, remember, if you have a script, you can make a movie.
News9 Plus. Download now.